I mean, okay, all I'm saying is just because a brown man in the Klan worked on a television show doesn't mean it's gonna work in real life, dude. In
In
5D.
5D. All right. So, on that
That's
note,
not even gonna. Yep, moving on.
yeah. Actually, which is a really good start because I kind of want to shake things up a little bit. We've
Okay.
we've generally had the format of one person kind of presents and then does their thing. I want to try different. Let's do a
Okay.
conversation thing, especially because we just spent. And this sounds so sexy, but we just spent the weekend together.
Oh, honey.
Oh, sexy, sexy. Um, but I think what was the best part of this whole weekend was we had a chance to really just riff. Well, so while we'll be talking about subjects, I'm kind of more interested in like tangential conversations here as well. I don't think that this will be necessarily a permanent thing, but let's just try some shit out.
Yeah, bro.
So
I'm
as
into it.
always, you have us got your co-host Bonsai above me.
I've been demoted to co-host.
Well, I mean, we're co-hosting.
We're
Uh,
both co-hosts.
that's how co-hosts work.
Well,
Anyways, and I go by Ark. Also, we usually have a third, but he's busy doing his laundry, and I wish that was a joke.
yeah,
No, no, no.
it's not even a fun euphemism.
Yeah,
He's just doing laundry.
I ain't gonna shame a man for wanting to have clean drawers.
Yep,
Just saying.
fair.
So, all right. So, one thing that we did this weekend, which was really cool, and I do want to talk about like the food and shit as well, because a lot of times folks don't talk about Oakland for those kinds of things. They're
Fair.
starting to a little bit more now, but
Hey, Oakland no longer in the top 10 deadliest cities in the U.S.
ooh, nice
Hasn't
Up,
been for like 2 years at least.
upgrade. Well, yeah, because the theory is that the folks are getting priced out and moving to the outlying towns. So like Modesto is getting worse and whatnot.
Yeah, it's Stockton on the
Oh yeah, yeah,
top
yeah.
10 list,
That's
at least from
true.
what I
That's
saw.
true. All right, so um, we got a chance to get together, and it was kind of the reason we all came together. It wasn't just Bonsai myself. We also had Jay, who is a co-host of the Bias Bros podcast, and he was in town as well.
Alternating Thursdays at 7.
Oh, he likes that plug. Um, but we all got together and we went to go see Jay and Silent Bob reboot. And for those of you who don't know, they're doing it a little bit different than normally going to a movie theater. What Kevin Smith has done is he's taken it on more of a road show, which includes a Q&A portion. And if you get the right kind of ticket, you get to meet him, do a meet and greet and things like that.
And he's actually been doing this for his last couple of movies. He's actually found I don't know if I would call it more success, but he's found a more fulfilling route doing this kind of direct to market thing. Like his audience is just kind of uniquely his audience. Whether wherever you stand, love him or hate him, he has this audience that is kind of a specific group of people. And so he now targets that specific group of people. And it's been working for his last few films. I've been to a couple of these events he's done now. I saw Yoga Hosers this way, and I saw Tusk this way. I didn't get to see Red State this way. But it's really fun. Like seeing him is really great. He's always really on point with his like stage stuff that he does. And I mean, just looking at how much I'm spending on a ticket to see these things, he's doing it in a road show. Like he's
He's
making
making money.
US tour and band money, he's not making millions, but he's he's making money on it. He's doing all right for it. I think it's a smart way to go. I think there's actually a lot more artists out there who probably could kind of level their game up by
Oh,
doing
I
this.
agree, and that'd be something like eventually, if we get to a status where we're able to do that, I'd be down to do a couple tours, hit a bunch of comedy clubs along the way, and just bring
Yeah.
like a mobile recording unit. I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But so I don't begrudge him for that. And he also obviously showed us the movie. And full disclosure aside, I became a Jane Silent Bob. I became a Kevin Smith fan because of actually Bonsai and Jay, because they were very much into it, and he's crass and he liked that humor style.
Well, honestly though, so like on a deeper level, the real reason I think me and him like Jay and Silent Bob so much is this was the one thing that him, I, and my dad all totally agree on. We are
Okay.
all on the same page when it comes to Kevin Smith stuff.
What fascinates me though is because I've met all three of you. I imagine it's for three very different reasons.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we all do enjoy, and like really not even passively like, oh yeah, we're all like, no, we're all really big fans. We probably saw Clerks and Mallrats a few years before we were old enough to see Clerks, like definitely before we were old enough to understand all the jokes in it. But we were watching those really early.
Yeah, and I honestly, like every other piece of pop culture that I know, all started after like I was already 10 or 11 years old. Like
Yeah.
I got a very late start to all that. And to Kevin Smith, I can honestly say that I had the only Kevin Smith movie I had seen before I started hanging out with you guys was
Probably Dogma or Jay and Silent Bob. Those are the two biggest.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I think I saw because a friend had it.
Yeah.
Dogma I saw later on, and the one that floored me that it just Chasing Amy. So it's oddly good.
Yeah, Chasing Amy is one of those ones where when I first watched it in high school, I was like, this is his worst movie. Why do people watch this? But now as an adult, I go back and I watch Chasing Amy and I go, oh no, I was just too young and naive about the world to get why this is actually totally brilliant. Chasing Amy really is a fantastic movie.
So what's interesting, and I've told this story before, is when I was deployed, you got a bunch of dudes out there. They're missing their families. They're missing their partners and whatnot. And it's kind of this really weird thing where nobody can really express those kinds of things, those emotions. So what we ended up doing in this really weird way to show it was we would watch and make fun of a lot of romantic comedies. So I actually saw a lot of romantic comedies, and I understand how this sounds is in a combat housing unit with a bunch of other dudes. We'd like some nights we'd do little mini poker tournaments, other times like we'd do other stupid shit, something, just chase each other and just wrestle and stupid shit like that. But sometimes we'd just sit there and fucking like watch a romantic comedy, and different people would bring different ones, and it just so happens that somehow Chasing Amy was one of those. And
I will say though, as far as romantic comedies go, Chasing Amy is kind of the dude's romantic comedy.
And that was exactly like what I was going to say. Like, it wasn't like the other ones. Like, it wasn't like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or whatever the fuck.
Win a Date with Chad Hamilton.
Yeah,
Chad
none of that.
Hamilton, whatever.
It was, it was a good movie, and it made us laugh because obviously fucking much army dudes and vulgar fucking language and shit.
Right. Very crass kind of humor.
Plus, the main girl was super hot and
Julia
all that
Lauren
stuff.
Adams was so cute back in the day.
Yeah. So there was that. And this was before Affleck.
Not to say she's not now. Well, actually, I guess we did just see her, and yeah, she's still really pretty. So
yeah. So anyways. That's kind of interesting with Chasing Amy and with Kevin Smith. Like that's how
Can I ask you, I
them.
actually don't know if I've ever talked to you about this. Have you seen and do you like Jersey Girl?
I have never seen the full movie. You guys played it a few times, and I saw like the beginning and the end.
You should really sit down. I actually like Jersey Girl. You should actually sit down and watch Jersey Girl.
Maybe. To be fair, I feel like that was one of the movies that was put on while we were really drunk at one point. So
I'm sure.
I might have just missed that. But I'm sure you have. But one thing that we did was we actually bought and shipped Vulgar out to us. Out there.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a Kevin Smith film, but it had the actor.
Well, it's a View Askew film, and it had Brian O'Halloran.
Brian
from
O'Halloran.
Clerks.
Yep. So we watched it, and that was.
I think he wrote and directed, if I'm not mistaken.
He starred in it.
Well, yeah, but I think I don't know. Yeah. It's Brian O'Halloran all over, like just all over it.
But anyway, so that was a crazy departure. So I wouldn't say that I like the entire View Askew universe.
Sure, fair.
But anyways, well, what was your first impression of the movie? So like, but not the movie, of the event. Like he goes up there and he does his opening. Like, where was your head at that point?
I've seen Kevin Smith a few times in a few different formats. So like Comic-Con for a few years there, we were hitting
The
one, if not two, Kevin Smith
Yeah.
podcasts a year when we were doing that. I've seen him locally a few times, and again, I've seen him do a couple of these movie ones. So I kind of know what I'm expecting, and I'm pretty used to watching him talk to the point where like the spectacle of it is gone. It's like me going to a concert. I'm no longer excited just to be at a concert. I've been to a million concerts. It needs to be a good act before I really get excited.
Okay.
It's same thing seeing him. I'm pretty whelmed. Like, and I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm not like, oh, I'm fucking over it. I'm just saying I'm pretty whelmed about the experience. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I will say I've seen him live a few times, and I've also like seen the videos of his Q&As and stuff.
Yeah.
So I knew what I was getting myself into. At times, though, and this has been a problem for a while, I have trouble with Q&As. I hate other human beings.
Yeah.
And,
This one actually was not, compared to some of the ones I've been to, this was not that bad.
oh yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. But there were a couple of people where I was like, why? There's a long ass line behind you. You know he takes 20 minutes to answer every single question. You just really shat on
Because everybody is their own special little butterfly.
just like there was one about like the sheep fucking. I was like, I
Yeah.
get what he's doing, haha. But seriously, someone could have like asked a legitimate question and not wasted those 20 minutes. Because it never fails. He went into 20 minutes talking about that.
At least this one did not have a marriage proposal. For a little while after he did the Rev Kev stuff, and I don't know if he still does, but it's not advertised on his stuff as often as it used to be. Dude, you could not go to a live event without there being some fucking marriage proposal. And honestly, a lot of times they started to seem staged. Like the people were already engaged and they were like, hey, do you want to do it again at the Kevin Smith thing? You know he'll do it. Like a few of them just seemed so half-hearted, like nobody was blown away. You're totally like people aren't actors. Acting
Yeah.
really is kind of hard, and people can't fake shit as well as they think they can. So there was a few of those where it got really old. So I'm really glad there was not a marriage proposal at this one.
To be fair, though, I feel like he peaked when he actually performed a marriage at one of the Babylons.
Yeah,
And then
that
after
got
that,
old
it's
too.
like, dude, really? Like, I don't know. It just seems like, where do you go from there? Then you start doing variety show weddings, and you like 20 people are getting married at once. To the Kevin, like, it got
Yeah.
there, and I do believe that they cut back on that in the Hollywood Babylons. Like, I think they either put something up or made some sort of
I
announcement.
will
'Cause-
say I kind of fell off with Babylon. It just got too formulaic.
and that was it. That I 100% agree. It just, after a while, it was no longer it was no longer a podcast and see them riff out of each other. It was, well, now we're doing this impression. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it was paint by numbers.
yeah, it got a little old. And to be fair, I've tried Ralph Garman's new show.
Oh, does he have one?
The Garmin Report. Yeah, he's got a daily show, and like I can't listen to every episode because he's got it scheduled to the point where every Monday he does this thing, and every like he's got his week planned out, and that's not what I listen to podcasts for. Right? I like the open form conversation stuff a lot more when I listen to it. There is something to be said about, hey, let's do a couple of this and a couple of that. But it was one of the reasons why, even on this podcast, I stopped doing a whole e-news segment because
Yeah.
it just felt stale. Like, oh, every day we're doing e-news, so things like that. Okay,
Yeah.
so we were there. He started talking, and then we watched the movie. I liked the movie. Let me lead with that. I thought it was a good film. I just felt like it was for the fans. It was very much for the fans, and it was like if this was his last film before he retired, I would understand why.
Um, so I 100% agree with this was a fan service movie. I did really love it because again, I'm a big fan. This is not the movie to introduce a new person to the Kevin Smith stuff with.
Yeah.
Like not like, this should not be the first one you show to somebody. Not even just not suggested. This would probably ruin a bunch of stuff to show them this first. I would say I actually kind of get the fan service because of Red State, Tusk, and Yoga Hosers. They were so not what the core fandom whatever was looking for. I think he kind of needed to whip out a hey, let's do one for the people who are showing up to these. Because when I saw Yoga Hosers live, he gets up on stage and goes, "Hey man, a lot of people aren't liking this movie, and that's okay. I made this movie for me. I made this movie for my daughter. In a weird way, I made this movie for Johnny Depp. I made this movie for a lot of people involved in the movie, and some motherfuckers love it. Some motherfuckers hate it. So if you want your money back, I will give it to you right now." He literally leads the movie with that, and he's like, "I've given out like a couple $100 on this tour." As people are like, "I really hated this, and I think I deserve my money back." Sure, I'll give you your money back. So I think after kind of that experience of like, okay, I've done my experimental stuff. Let's throw one out there for the fans and see how it goes. That's kind of the camp I'm sitting in. I think this was a calculated move, but I think it was a well calculated move.
I liked Clerks. I didn't love Clerks, right? Like by the time that I saw it, the hype was gone.
Yeah.
So I like Clerks. I just feel like he could have built upon that in a different way, but he's come out and openly said that that doesn't really matter to him. He did what he did, and
right, but you can only sustain that as a career for so long.
Correct. So where do you think he goes from here? Because the next one's a sequel. Like, do you think
the next two apparently are sequels?
Yeah, that's right.
So it sounds like we are going to get a Clerks 3. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away because also who knows how much of this is going to change between now and actually sitting down behind the camera. But it sounds like the next one is Clerks 3. He talked pretty extensively about how he came about Clerks 3 and why it's happening. So that's really cool.
I thought that was Mallrats 2 that he was talking about.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So he did. He talked a lot about Clerks 3 and how he had gotten there. Yeah, that's really... I don't want to go into too much because it's the one he talked less about. But for sure, it is the one that's coming up. And I was actually... A lot of people didn't like Clerks 2. I thought it really worked.
I thought it was a different type of movie, but I didn't hate it.
Right. It worked. It was really fun. And I think 3 can kind of do the same thing. I think 3 is going to be, again, a very different kind of movie, but I think it'll still be really good. The one he talked about more extensively was Mallrats 2. So we're also going to be getting a sequel to Mallrats, which is... Mallrats is my favorite Kevin Smith. So I'm really excited to kind of get any follow-up on those characters. And even if it is like a goofy, big departure, which from the way he's talking about it, it does sound like a departure from regular Mallrats, but I feel like it's kind of supposed to be. It's one of those, we're making a sequel, but like, hey, we're making a sequel kind of things. You go to like Airplane 2. Airplane 2 is really just Airplane 1, but kind of pumped up a bunch. That's going to be Mallrats 2. It's just this kind of artificially inflated, pumped up with an air pump kind of take on the movie is what it sounds like it's going to be. Like terrorists are going to take over the mall. So that's a thing. It's supposed to be different, but I think it's still going to be good. Just a different kind of good.
Okay. Now, the question there is, do you think he's got another movie in him that is... I wouldn't say more creative because that's not the right term, but more
wholly original.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can really only do so many sequels of your current stuff.
Yeah.
I really feel like Clerks ends with 3. I don't see Mallrats going something like this. A Dogma 2 might be a thing, but I don't really see how you do a Dogma 2. Jersey Girl's never going to get a sequel. I feel like whatever comes after these two, either he'll be dead or it'll be something different.
Yeah. Okay. And this isn't one of those things where like, oh, he's
Oh well, and
peaked or
actually, another
anything.
thing that's probably going to take up his time if they do. He mentioned very briefly that there was a strong chance of the Clerks cartoon coming back,
That's
which
true.
I would be a really big fan, even as like
Oh
a
yeah.
web release or something. I really liked the Clerks cartoon. That shit is funny and it
Yeah.
holds up really well. So getting that to come back would obviously take a big chunk of his time. Um, so another project. I mean, plus he's working on He-Man, plus he's working on Howard the Duck. So they may not be movies, but he is working on
Yeah.
other
That's true.
properties and other stories as
Yeah,
well.
no, and again, I don't think he's like peaked or anything like that. I'm just curious because he's had an interesting evolution as a creator,
Oh yeah.
and honestly, I don't fault him for it. I just wonder. I think a lot of people really projected what they thought he was going to do for the industry, and I just don't think he was interested in that.
Well, you know what kind of sucks though is he was coming up right alongside guys like Quentin Tarantino and Jon Favreau.
Hmm.
And so because they were all these indie movie directors, they were like, "Oh, these are all the same thing." But even going back and watching Tarantino's old stuff and Smith or sorry, and Favreau's old stuff, it's not like Smith stuff. It never was.
No.
Sure, it's all indie film, but even Favreau to Tarantino are very different kinds of indie.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. So like where those two really and look at how different they are now. Go watch Swingers and then go watch Iron Man. It's not the same kind of monster you're dealing with. Go watch Reservoir Dogs, excuse me, and go watch Kill Bill. I'm not even a Tarantino fan, but I can tell you there are leagues of evolution between those two films.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Agreed. It's always it's interesting because a lot of people talk about it with Kevin Smith with Kevin Smith. And I like what he's done. I just wonder what's left.
What's
I'm
next?
actually curious to see what's next. Not
I'm
not
really
what's
I'm
left.
interested in his He-Man.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually not a He-Man fan, so you can't hurt it in my
He
eyes. You can
Man
really only improve it.
He Man was like it was never a thing for me. I never had access to those cartoons,
Well, and I'm a little young for it. I'm like just too young
which is
for He-Man.
which is weird because that would have been right around my age.
Yeah.
But
Well, actually, it would be my eldest brother, and if you had an older brother, it would be right around
okay, so
their
maybe I
age.
just missed it because I was all in for the Thundercats. That was very
Yeah.
definitely. And then there was like a similar cartoon, but it was like fish people or people that turned into fish when they jumped into the water, and they had like this submarine thing.
The fuck? I have no idea what that
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Now I'm curious. I'm gonna go look for that cartoon.
Do your Googles. Uh,
My Googles.
do them Googles.
All right.
But yeah, so I'm really interested in his He-Man. I think he can do good things. And his Howard the Duck was such a simple character, and the only time it got a really good live action adaptation, it was just kind of butchered. I think a Howard the Duck cartoon
Wasn't
just
that a
makes so much sense.
Lucasfilm though?
It was a Lucasfilm.
That like everybody forgets. Everybody always talks about how on the money Lucasfilm was in the '90s with their video games and all that, or not Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
but
but
like the
they
Lucas
made
company.
fucking Howard the Duck, and it was bad.
Yeah,
It was really bad.
Jesus Christ. I've never been a Howard the Duck fan, but to be fair, what am I gonna do? I don't think it was my era. I also am not a huge fan of Tank Girl, which is
Yeah, you
barely-
can shut your stupid mouth.
I just
I love Tank Girl.
I didn't experience it when I needed to. I think is what it
Dude,
is.
James Howlett is so good. Try the comics.
Oh well, that might be why.
He's actually he's the guy who does all the art for the Gorillas, right?
I do now.
So the Gorillas are actually just two people. It's a guy named David Aldern or Damon, something like that. But he's the guy from Blur. Do you remember? Woohoo! Well,
Yeah.
I feel heavy
Yeah,
metal.
yeah.
Woo! That guy.
I
So
remember. I did know that.
that guy split off from Blur and became the primary musician for the Gorillas. And the guy who does all the art and the story, because there is a running story
Mhm.
with the Gorillas, is a guy named James Howlett, and he's the guy who did Tank Girl. So the Gorillas is just two people. Like
Yeah.
there are other people who come in and collaborate and record a bit of
Well,
this or
and
that,
for the
but-
concerts they have concert
right?
folks,
They
but they're
they
not-
bring
yeah.
people to play those parts, but yeah, the Gorillas is really just two dudes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Oh, Tank Girl's so much fun. Try the comics. The comics are really fun. But man, maybe give that movie another try as an adult because that's one of those movies that like clearly just wasn't getting the love it needed from the production company and yet still came out with like this really interesting, unique film.
So,
Tank Girl's so good.
better or worse than Starship Troopers?
Oh man.
Because that's
I'd say on par with.
okay. Because that's one of those movies that is exactly what you described.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Starship Troopers needs like a good. That's one of those. Oh, I hate reboots. I think we're just rebooting the wrong films. The Last
Agreed.
Starfighter and Starship Troopers totally need reboots.
Yeah,
And
Last
I don't even
Starfighter
dislike Starship
and-
Troopers is good and it needs a reboot.
and Wing Commander.
Wing Commander would be dope, but you got to get Mark Hamill back.
Yeah, and not Freddie Prinze Jr. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Was there a Wing Commander with Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Yes, there was a Wing Commander with Freddie Prinze Jr. That guy he's always in all the movies with that played Shaggy. I forget his
Matthew
name.
Lillard.
Matthew Lillard. Yeah, I have it. It is one of
What?
my dude. It wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. Like it's not. I would say it is worse than Starship Troopers, just on the level. But I think a reboot would do it really well.
Yeah. No,
But-
I'd be super into it. The games were always interesting.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
That was one of the ones that was out for the Panasonic 3DO because they did a lot of like live action camera games. Wing Commander was one of the big. Mark Hamill's right on the cover of the box with like a really well make-upped alien dude, and
I didn't really get into that until later on, until like they were on the PCs.
oh, Wing Commander is one of the main reasons to get a Panasonic 3DO.
So yeah, I haven't gone back and played the classics because I don't think they're very easy to find anymore.
Probably not.
But yeah, so oh man, Starship Troopers, you got me thinking. It's such, and I hate that how many people think that it is glorifying like fascism and stuff, and I'm like, you're missing the
The
point.
books were though. The books were big time.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
It was a military socialism and yeah.
Yeah, and but a lot of people put that on the movie, and the movie's not that. It's not that at all.
I feel like more movies and shows need the would you like to know more segments.
In the future, that's how you will watch movies.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah, but there were a bunch of movies during that time that are cheesy as fuck, and we still love. Like, you think they could do a Demolition Man, a remake?
Well, I mean, as long as they have the 3 seashells.
Yeah,
That's
right.
Demolition Man, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've ever actually seen the whole thing at once. I know
What?
I've seen it all, but I think I've only ever seen it broken.
Okay, one of these days, you and I need to watch Demolition Man, the original Judge
I really
Dredd,
don't like Stallone.
and some other Stallone movie.
Oh, like Cliffhanger?
Oh God, that's right. I forgot he did Cliffhanger.
Ugh, I don't like Stallone. I think Stallone's really overrated. Maybe his porno's really good though. You know he did porn, right?
Yeah. The Italian Stallion, I think.
Yeah.
Was his name. Yeah. That's funny. But hey, dude, it worked out for him.
Fucking whatever.
Well,
It's like that. What was her name? Sasha Grey. She went from doing porn to being an entourage.
oh yeah.
It was essentially just doing porn.
Yeah, I'm like, I was going to say, so yeah.
You know,
To be fair-
I gotta be honest. It's a total guilty pleasure, and people are gonna judge the fuck out of me. But I enjoyed Entourage. It was trash, like full on. It was trash TV. But I need some trash TV in my rotation. You can only get too much like really, really highbrow good stuff before you just need something dirty. And Entourage was just dirty enough. It was just such bad
Well, I mean,
writing that it made it work.
I think I watched the first 2 fucking shows. First 2 seasons, and that's where I stopped. It started becoming more not just formulaic, but just like, and what else could they get into? I just,
Right, but that's what made it so good. Like, oh, Turtle's investing in vodka. I also just love that it was like a show about rich dudes jacking off about how rich they were.
Yeah.
It was just gross. Everything
fair,
about this show
though,
was just gross, and I loved it.
It felt like thematically Frasier, but with more money.
I loved Frasier.
Oh no,
Frasier's so good.
I still watch it sometimes on Netflix. It's just I
Have you gone back and done Cheers?
No, I've never
Dude,
seen Cheers. I
Take
have
the
never
drop back and do
seen
Cheers. Cheers is so good.
I've never seen Cheers.
It's all on Hulu. I watched all of it.
Okay, well I might
Cheers is
might
great.
need to go take a look. The thing with I think the thing with Frasier is that it's the same type of comedy as British comedy. It's just smart. Well,
Yeah.
not smart. It's witty.
Right.
Because you don't have to be smart to get it. It's about what they say, how they say it, and the fact that they can talk that fucking fast sometimes.
Dude, after watching Cheers, I legit got a new life goal. I just want to be Norm. So in Cheers, there's this character named Norm, and Norm essentially lives at the. I'm explaining like a smash hit show, but I feel like most of the audience is too young to know Cheers.
I've never seen it. So.
There's this guy named Norm who essentially just lives at the bar, and that's their running joke. He has his seat. He, if his beer runs out, he just wants another beer. He's never not going to order another beer. He always talks a bunch of shit about his wife, but once he gets drunk enough, he always admits, none of the stuff I say about my wife is true. I really love her. I just want something to complain to you guys about so I can fit in with everybody else. He's just, and every time he walks in the bar, everybody in the bar goes, Norm! This is what I want out of life. I just want a bar within stumbling distance to my home that I could walk into. And when I walk in, everybody, not even just the people working there, even the people who eat there are like, this motherfucker's always at this bar. Hey, Devin. And then I can sit down and they'd be like, we know what he wants to drink. And then they just fucking present that to me and I don't have to try. This is the dream. This is the only thing I want in life. Legitimately. If I can just... he also never pays his bar tab. Ever. He owes thousands of dollars to this bar. But it's fine. Because it's Norm. Nobody cares. This man is living the life. If I could just be Norm, I'd be so in. That's all I want. I just want to be Norm.
I don't know. I don't know if I like that.
I almost have this actually. So when I go to Eugene, I have an office in Eugene, and every time I go there, I stay at the same hotel, and that hotel has a little brew pub kind of thing downstairs. I always go in, I order the same beer, I order some food, and I chat with the bartender who the last time one of my coworkers came in, my coworkers don't believe that I can just go to this bar and they know who I am. So my coworker goes in and sits down. He's like, hey, do you know this guy? He's like, well, I wouldn't say I know him, but his name's Devin. He's married. He comes in once a month. He always orders this. He does this. And I was like, slowly I am becoming Norm. It's too bad it's just 2 hours south of where I live. It's not exactly stumbling distance.
To be fair, though, if this was a novel, you would be having a secret family and a full-blown affair once a month.
I know. Yeah.
That goes along with that same thing. You always check into the same hotel room. You always order the same amount of towels.
Well, the worst thing, it used to show up on all my expense reports. They changed what bar it was, but it used to be a place called Hot Mama's, and I would always order chicken wings and beer. So every time I had to expense it, I had to explain to the finance team how much it was not a strip club, and they could Google the place if they wanted to.
Well, okay, what is it called now?
I'm not, just in case, some weirdos out there, I don't want to say. Because they'll know where they can find me really easily.
To be fair,
I'm sure even with that they could.
Yeah,
probably
I was saying anybody with Google Foo could.
But at that point, they put in enough dedication that I respect it.
Yeah, you just said sometime during the month. It's like Aunt Flo. You just don't know when.
Right. Yeah, I'll just show up. But if they could start hitting it. See, now once there's another regular there, I know to be suspicious of that motherfucker.
He's just trying to get close to you for all your podcast money.
The bastard.
Oh man! All right, so give it a rating. Where does Jay and Silent Bob Reboot sit?
I feel like it legitimately needs 2 ratings. It needs a fan score and a layman score.
Okay.
The layman score is 0. Anybody who's never seen his stuff before, you're not I don't see how you could like this film, because there are points in this movie where the joke is that a certain character shows up.
Yeah.
So it's not going to work for anybody who has not seen the first one. So for any of the Ascuna fans out there, this is a return to form. but still a slightly different kind of. Even still, I think he has a little bit more of like a roadshow movie kind of humor. So I have to come in with in 8 super joints out of 10 super joints. I gotta ding it a little bit because there are just,
Okay.
it's different enough.
Yeah, no, definitely. At one point, I don't think I saw the movie the character was from, and he was doing a whole speech, and I'm like, what?
Which character?
Their for some reason their taxi driver was important, or their
Oh
Uber
no.
driver.
He wasn't from anything else. That was just this time.
Oh, weird. A bunch of people clapped, and I was like, I don't get it.
Oh, the actor. That guy's in. He was in Portlandia. He's from.
Oh,
Like
okay.
that guy's just from a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Fred
Fair enough.
Armisen.
I was just very confused.
Fred Armisen shows up in so much stuff. I legitimately do not understand how he shows up in that. Like, where does this guy get the time to film every show? If me and my wife watch a show, he will be in at least one episode of that show. All of them. He's just in everything.
Okay, maybe your tastes just aren't as varied as you think.
No, dude, like if it's a comedy, Fred Armisen just shows up these days. He's in everything. Google him.
I, I not right now, but maybe later.
I'm gonna see how many jobs Fred Armisen's had.
All right, so okay, so James, I had a blast. Let's move past the event itself, and let's talk a little bit about the food around there.
Fred
So,
Armisen is 151 credits.
Jesus, dude, that guy is in everything.
Superstore, Saturday Night Live, Big Mouth, Final Space, American Dad, Unbeatable Kimmy Schmidt, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I Love You America. He's even in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Fred Armisen is in everything.
He goes by the Nicolas Cage School of Acting,
Yeah.
or not
If you
acting,
do
booking
all the
gigs.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, you were saying.
No, I was saying. So outside of the event itself, we also hit a couple of the local spots here. First up,
Let me say, so Oakland food, most of it feels way less stabby than you'd think it would.
the food.
Some of the food in Oakland used to cut you, man. No, just like the areas they're in. So growing up by Oakland, I'm not even just talking shit. I grew up just south of Oakland at a point in time where Oakland really was one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S.
Yeah.
So Oakland kind of has a stigma to it. Not saying that's totally the case right now. It's not totally the case right now. I do feel like Oakland's gotten better. There's still definitely some sketchy neighborhoods. One of my Uber drivers took a wrong turn, and I wound up somewhere
Weird.
Let's just say I drove between what I'm 100% sure was a drug deal, and then also drove by 2 guys burning a something in a field right next to the highway. So
Was it oddly crossroads shape?
It's like a T intersection, but yeah. Yeah,
But
so it's still sketchy, but it is getting like I never felt uncomfortable once I was inside of some place. It was never bad, you know.
okay. So we hit up a food spot called Cato's, and that's it was a burger
Cato's
slash
with a
pub.
C, not Cato's like what's his face's
Kratos.
sidekick?
Oh,
What? No, Cato like the Green Hornet.
yeah. It's called Cato's, and it's a pub. They do all kinds of different beer, but only beer, and then they do burgers and pizza.
No, they had hard liquor. Cato's had hard liquor.
I don't know if that's true.
I watched several people order it and looked at some of it myself. Yeah. It's just at the other bar. You have to look at the other menu and then it's there.
Okay, because I've been there several times, and
No, there's
I'll
a
I'll,
whole
I'll have to double check. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, so my favorite part of that spot is one. This is gonna sound super douchey, but because I have my diet, I can get a Beyond Burger there. But they have these killer habanero hot wings.
Yeah, those are really good. They destroyed my stomach.
Yeah, me too. But they're wonderful in the best way. Maybe I ate too many of them. I like it because it's a dry rub. They're not super saucy. They're just I think they do them well. So, what did you think of? You had pizza, right?
Yeah, I got the pizza. Not the best pizza I've ever had, but like a serviceable bar pizza.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I might have been better off grabbing a burger or something, but the really, if you're gonna go, grab beer and wings.
Beer wings, yeah, and I've actually had their normal burgers there as well before, also pretty good. Then we headed out to the spot that is kind of goofy. Sometimes they have live music. We were there a little bit early for the pre-show called Van Cleef, and it's known for two things: the goofy shit on the walls
Mhm.
and their greyhounds. I was apparently trying to kill Bonsai with all the
Yes.
acidity within the food, but what'd you think of that spot?
So the Greyhound was really nice. The spot's a little small, but it's kind of it reminds me of a lot of the spots we would hit in downtown San Jose.
Yeah.
The Greyhound is really good, but with the acid reflux, it was death in a cup. I think I had like a quarter of mine before I had to just hand it off to you.
Yeah.
I did not get super far through it, though I did make the mistake of squeezing out the grapefruit into it as well.
Yeah, I saw you do that, and I was like, I mean, yes, but ooh.
Yeah. So I made it through like a quarter of it, and then had to nope right the fuck out of that.
Yeah, I like the ambiance of the spot. It can get super crowded later on.
Yeah, I'd
But
imagine it's
it's
it's not a big spot.
It's always good for like pre-dinner, pre-event activities.
Sure.
So, which I definitely like. And then at the end of the night, like any successful drunk / high folk, we went over to my favorite food truck in Oakland, Tacos Mi Rancho. What'd you think? What'd you think of that spot?
Other than them getting our order slightly wrong.
Correct. They gave you more asada than not, right?
Correct. We were only supposed to have 2 asada tacos and 3 carnitas, and they flipped that.
Hmm.
Luckily, it was good asada, though I think asada's kind of hard to fuck up. It's some seasoned grilled steak, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah, but it depends. Sometimes they like don't cut off the gristle and shit like that. And
but
I've
some
seen,
folks are into that. I'm just saying I think it's hard to do wrong.
okay, fair enough.
But it was still good. And then my carnitas tacos were on point. And if you can't do carnitas right, you shouldn't open a fucking taco stand, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
And you went for the more, I'm going to say, quote unquote exotic meats, because they are at pretty much every Mexican place, but it's pretty much the brown folk who order it at this point. But you got lengua and you got
I got it was my cheat meal for the week, so I can do what the fuck I want. Don't judge me, you bitches. It was my I had 2 lengua tacos, I had 2 asada tacos, and then I got a carnitas quesadilla.
Okay.
Just to even it out. But I ended up sharing half of it with your brother because he underestimated the size of them tacos.
Yeah, it's small cantina tacos, man. They're not meant to be. You're supposed to eat like 4 of them.
Yeah, so I like that spot, especially because it stays open until like 3 a.m. It's a little food truck right near the lake, so if you're kind of near in that area, there's a cool bar right around the corner called Portal. They do fairly good food, and they have a patio out back that's really nice. And then there's also a place near there called Rockin' Crawfish, which is really good if you like seafood. Not so great if you don't. And they also have
I do not like.
They have like soju martinis. They have a lychee martini, things like that.
Gross.
Good spots. And why am I talking about it? I don't know. It was kind of a nice little all around experience where you can go out, and we didn't like get completely trash, but
No, it was like a tame night, but with a lot of drinking.
yeah, like we all hit it pretty hard. I don't think anybody got into any fights that I can remember,
Nope.
unless I was that out of it. And then we did like Faction Brewing the next day, and that's one of your favorite spots in Alameda, right?
Yeah, Faction's just really solid. They have a really nice lineup of beers and rotating food trucks, and it's plus like it's very dog friendly. It's very children friendly. It's just a nice afternoon spot. Even on a cold day, it was still pretty packed in there.
Yeah.
With people just kind of hanging out, drinking.
There were like special events, like a bunch of people were dressed like 80s in the 80s style and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's 70s, 80s, I forget. But yeah.
And it was like right after opening that we were there. We were only there about a half hour after they opened, and it was
it
pretty
started
packed
getting
in.
it started getting pretty full. I think folks must have been waiting before it opened.
Yeah. The other, and if you feel like kicking it up a notch, Hangar 1 is right next
Yeah.
to it. You can walk to Hangar 1 and kick your game up from a couple of beers to a couple of shots. So it's a nice little spot. I think there's also a winery there, right?
There is a
Too.
winery there
But
that
I don't drink
also
wine,
has
so
food. I have friends who enjoy wine, and they enjoy going there. They also they'll have a lot of like pits outside out back. So
oh, like fire pits
fire
and stuff.
pits, yeah, for
Yeah,
folks
yeah,
to
yeah.
stay because it can get pretty chilly.
Yeah,
It's
it's right
on
on
the
the
old
water.
naval base, so just crazy amounts of wind. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And that was kind of our weekend. It was kind of
No, we
chill.
went to one other place,
Oh,
Yojimbo,
oh, that's right. We went to Yojimbo.
which I actually really liked. It felt like eating in a Japanese World War II bunker. You know
Tell
what I
us
mean?
about it.
It felt like I was in trench warfare. Just like the whole place is kind of small and tucked in, and like wood walls all around you, low ceilings. I'm sure it's supposed to feel like a more traditional Japanese kind of place, but
Yeah.
I felt like I was in a World War II bunker, but in the best way possible. Like not like a claustrophobic bunker, but just like I felt like if the bomb started going off, the place would just rattle a bit and we'd all keep eating.
Okay, well, I mean, there was some of that, and plus all the cool stuff on the walls.
Yeah, that was less than more feeling like I was in a bunker and I had really spicy soup. Now they have a lot of really cool art up on the walls. It looks like a lot of original paintings or
Yeah, and I do believe
recreations or
some of it
local
is
artist paintings or
some of it, if not all of it, is local.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all really cool though. Like fun place.
but God, their portion size.
Yeah, deceptive. Like you look at the bowl and you go, "Oh, the bowl's kind of tapered. There's not a whole lot in here." And I don't think any of us 100% finished what
No,
we
no, we
ordered.
didn't. They do a lot of food. They're not just ramen. They're also sushi.
Yeah.
And we made the mistake of coming in. I think it was like a normal place. The first time we went there, and we ordered sushi and ramen. And Jesus Christ, dude, it was insane. The one thing that my wife really likes, and I do too, is that they have I forgot what they call it, but it's the chef's special.
Oh
What they'll
yeah.
do is it's never the same because the chef will just put like the little stuff he's got left over from the main things, and it's one price, and it's kind of try your luck. It's the Kinder Egg equivalent of sushi, which I know sounds horrible, but sometimes you
It's
get
much
some,
less chocolatey.
yeah, sometimes you get really good and really expensive fish. He just couldn't get another portion out of it, so he'll mix it in and make like a combo roll and stuff. And it's good. You should try it out. Yojimbo there in Alameda. Their broth is not one of the best.
But the spicy's spicy.
Yeah, but it is spicy and it is good. But there's two other places that I enjoy their broth more. And one of them, if you're not there at like 4:30,
We
for
tried
the-
to get a table. It was a 2-hour wait for a table.
yeah, this other place called Marufuku, pretty good. So all in all, what do you think of your outing in East Bay? I guess technically.
Yeah, it was all right. I found a couple bugs in my hotel room, but other than that, it was cool.
Ooh, as long as it's not bed bugs. That shit is
No, it
weird.
was a daddy long leg, a dead spider, and an ant.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so there is one thing that we're gonna do a little bit like our normal lineup, and that's because we missed it last week, and you really wanted to talk about it. Also,
I won't
came
talk
up-
about it because of how strange it is that it's happening on this show.
Okay, so let's just bring it on.
Peel off the band-aid.
Yep.
Okay, I finally sat down. Me and my wife were just looking for a movie to watch. It was up on Amazon for a really cheap rent. And I like Mark Wahlberg, so we got Instant Family. Like a cute little, I can't even call it a rom-com because it's not like a typical romance. It's about a couple of people who start fostering 3 kids. And that's really the whole setup. They're house flippers who start fostering 3 kids. This movie so very, very well emphasizes why Mark Wahlberg deserves to be where he's at in Hollywood. The dude is funny.
Mhm.
His timing is just so quick, casual, and smooth. It's insane. Like, I'm sure a lot of people chalk Ted up as a fluke or something, but no, dude, Mark Wahlberg has. I don't give a shit about his action movies. The Transformer movies, fuck them. I don't care. His comedy is so good. I'd love to see him play off of like Ryan Reynolds because they weirdly have the exact same comedic sense, just kind of carried out slightly differently. Ryan Reynolds is really sarcastic, and Mark Wahlberg is just really subtle and smooth. It's serious and it's genuine. I don't even know how to word it. I really don't. Think back to Ted if you haven't seen this one, and just how smooth he is with like a kind of over the top reaction to something. He just kind of drops that out there and it feels so real. And he nails it in this. Plus, it's just kind of a feel good movie. It's a bunch of people just trying to do some right in the world and dealing with it. Which is really interesting. Another thing that just kind of hit, I've had like a lot of people over the years. So me and my wife really don't plan on having kids, but we will casually throw out like, maybe we'll like foster a kid someday. You'd be shocked at the amount of people who say things like, oh, but you could never really love those kids like they're yours,
Wow.
or it's never really the same thing. And like how casually people drop that. Apparently this movie is based on a true story. So, and like it does go over that kind of stuff. Like, bro, you adopt. What kind of blows my mind? People like will adopt a dog and then they treat the dog like it's their baby, and they get so attached to these dogs, and they get tattoos when the dogs die, and they cremate them and keep them up on mantles. But then people can go and foster a kid and be like, "Nah, you can't really give a real shit about that, bro. That's not how that works." No, it's really the exact same scenario.
Well, maybe not the exact same scenario. Children should be valued.
Bringing something into your home and falling in love with it.
No, I know what you're saying. It's just, so a lot of friends of mine that have kids, I make the allegory to me having a dog, and some people that rubs them the wrong way.
They can get the fuck over it. It's the same goddamn thing. Yeah, I don't know. Just, I really want you specifically to check. Like, Klops wouldn't appreciate it. Klops would shit on it just because it's not his genre of movie. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Like, it's just not something he would do. But you, I feel like your wife would probably enjoy it, so you could sit through it. Watch the movie for Wahlberg. Like, hang on his word.
And to be fair, I've always been a fan of Wahlberg. I've always thought he's got amazing comedic timing. Not just Ted, but you got things like The Other Guys, and just in general, like he was a producer of Entourage, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
it's loosely based off of his life.
So yeah, it's just I get it.
So on top of this, the amount of stand-up comedians they crammed into this movie. Tig Notaro's in it. Tom Segura's in it. Randomly Joan Cusack is in it in like one of the weirdest sort of cameo roles I've ever seen. Eliza Schlesinger is in it. She's super funny. She's a special on Netflix you should check out. It's really good. Oh my god, there's probably a bunch of other ones that I'm forgetting because it was more like I saw them pop up and I go, oh, I saw that dude's special, but I don't remember their name. But yeah, the movie is jam-packed with stand-ups showing up for just like little roles, and it just works. It's really funny, man. It's a dramedy. That's what you can call it. It's like Scrubs, you know what I mean? It's just as much bad as it is super.
As long as it's not like Funny People, because that's a dramedy, but good God, man.
Funny People's really good, but it's like 45 minutes too long.
At least 45 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah. No, and this is actually really short, hour 58.
Okay.
And that's with like opening and ending credits and all that shit.
I'll definitely check it out.
Super weird pick, I know. Like, not what people show up to this show for. But it was really solid, and the solid thing deserves a shout out.
We're humans too. Sometimes we just want to see other shit.
Wait, when did we become humans? God damn it.
Well, I mean, legally.
Oh, okay.
All right, that brings us there towards the end. Give it a quick rating before before I play us out.
I'm trying to think of like a good rating metric for it, but it's not the kind of movie we can normally give a metric to. Fuck it, 5 Tom Seguras out of 5. I really enjoyed it.
Wow,
it was really good.
Fair enough.
Actually, here I'll just because I can't get away from anything without being it up a little bit. As much as I love Tom Segura, Tom Segura's not a great actor. He's a fantastic stand-up. He's not a great actor.
Well, practice.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so check us out Tuesday nights on twitch.tv/Metagame Network. It's multiplayer night where I jump in and I play multiplayer games with the folks from Metagame Network that are up on our Discord. Also, Bias Bros releases every other Thursday.
Yep.
Check that out. That's Jay and Bonsai getting a little bit more in depth into movies and movie themes.
And going off on tangents. Yay,
correct.
tangents.
We touch on movies here, but that's a little bit more more of a deep dive into that kind of stuff. Check us out on iTunes. We are also on Podbean, which I need to refresh soon. Anyways, and on that note, final words, Bonsai.
I got nothing.
Okay, claps.
YouTubes.
Claps. Bye.